Hi everyone, it's Tani. Today's video we are talking about drugstore eyeshadow palettes that have really good formulas to them. Now this is more so going by brand, not so much by like each eyeshadow palette individually, although there are some brands that I do have formulas that I'm not very wild about compared to other palettes and formulas that they have, so that's something I'm going to mention, and I will talk about that more in detail when we get to that point. But that's just where that's my kind of like disclaimer I wanted to leave. I was looking at my collection and I'm thinking there's a lot of really good like companies and brands coming out with good palettes at the drugstore that people aren't talking about, or maybe they used to talk about them but they don't talk about them anymore, and I feel like they're things that still need to be brought up because we're still interested. Even if the palette's a couple years old, if the quality's good, we'll go buy it. Like, there's a lot of us out there who love buying makeup, so if you're into that, this is the video for you. Jumping right into it, I first want to talk about these, how to do the math, these 6-pan eyeshadow palettes. They're the Everyday Eyes collections. This is the 102 Bare Necessities, and this is just the one that I have sitting on my like desk that I use on a normal basis. Like when I use it, this is one of like my favorite shade ones. They have like 6 or 7 of these, and then they had come out with a newer one most recently that was like dark, but it had a red shade, and it was very kind of like universal, like you could use different looks with it, do different things. And I like this because they come with a lighter toned matte, and then they come with highlights, and they come with deep tones, and then they come with a couple different shimmers that like add different dimension. And I will say I'm not a big fan of the different size pans because it just kind of like, it's like them telling you this is what you have to use it for and you can't use it any different way. I wish they would have all been the same, but I think it kind of adds a little bit of like difference to it. And on the back, it does tell you right here how to do an eye look with these and how to make them work. So I think that's something really cool to keep in mind. I do like this formula, but I'm not a big fan of their, I believe they're the 12-pan palettes. They came out with one that was like soft and sultry and one that was like more warm toned, and I just wasn't a big fan of the formula in those. Just didn't really like the shades. I tried to make the cool tone one work, but I just found that it was a little bit too gray and ashy for me. But that's just my personal opinion. I know they have bigger palettes, and I know that those are a little bit hit or miss, but these are ones that you can pick up every shade and they're all gonna be good. And this is something that was like very exciting at the time, because I remember getting these when they didn't have anything else out, and these were like the best things to get. Like, I waited till there was a sale to get them because they were like $12.99 at the time. Now the next one is a little bit cheaper, and by a little bit I mean a lot bit. And these are the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow palettes. This is in the shade Pumpkin Pie. I have 4 other shades. I think the only one I didn't buy was the blue one, and maybe one more, or maybe like a purplish one or something, just because I wasn't like into those shades. But I really like these eyeshadow quads. Yeah, quad is 4. I think that they offer a nice variety for what you're getting. Some of these have 2 mattes, 2 shimmers, some have 3 mattes, 1 shimmer, some have 3 shimmers, 1 matte. It just kind of varies, but you're only spending $3. So even if you only get 1 matte, 3 shimmers, you're still paying $3 for 4 shades, give or take where you buy them from. I bought a good many of mine at a grocery store that like they sell a little bit of makeup. Like, I didn't expect them to be there because usually they get like the last stuff to come in is what they sell, kind of a thing. So they have the basics but not something new. And this is when these had first come out. I saw them there and I was like, well, I'm gonna pick them up because I see them and I want them, and I'm gonna like, you know, I'm gonna buy them. But I think they're really nice. The colors are like, the color payoff is so nice, and like, I mean, look at this shimmer. Like, that is insane. And for $3 for a palette like that, like, that's crazy. It's just such a good formula, and I would definitely recommend this. I'm not a big fan of their bigger palettes that have like 20 shades or whatever they are. I don't 18 or something. I'm not a big fan of those just because I don't find myself using them a whole lot, but every time I see pictures of them, I'm like, oh, those are really pretty palettes. So I'm definitely gonna have to get mine out. I have the Cool Tone Nude one. I have the Opposites Attract, and then I have the something Paradise one, the Retro Paradise. I do like that one, but that one's a little bit more colorful, more like pastel, kind of like very light colors. So that's something to keep in mind. But you could try those out. I think they're a good deal, and I think they are decent palettes. I just prefer the formula in these a little bit better. That's just my personal opinion. The Rimmel magnifies eyeshadow palettes, this is the Spiced Edition, are some of the best palettes out there at the drugstore. This one was one that people said was a dupe for the Urban Decay Cherry palette, and I know they've been trying to dupe all the other palettes with the Rimmel palettes, which is a little bit difficult. Like, you can go based off of color, you can go based off of like, oh well, it has a shimmer like the other one, and it has a formula that's like kind of similar, you know, like you're not gonna get the, you know, the original that you were hoping for or whatever. Like, you're still getting Rimmel, but the quality is so good in this palette in particular. I used to have others and I think I decluttered them, and then everybody was like, oh my gosh, the Rimmel palettes, and I was like, I just got rid of mine because I didn't use them. But I think this is a good one. I definitely like using it all the time because there's a lot of different colors to it. You can go very brown, you can go a little bit purpley over here with this nice cool lilac. You can also go a little bit more red or pink. I think it kind of varies. And then like, I think if you want to play it off as the Urban Decay Cherry palette, you could. I particularly don't like to do that because I know what I paid for, so I'm not going to try and fake it off as anything else. But I think it's a very good palette, and if you're looking for a good dupe, that's definitely one to go for. One that I haven't seen duped a whole lot is the Maybelline the Burgundy Bar palette. This is one that it came out, they took it away, and then they came out with it again. And when they came out with it again, I was like, I'm buying this. I don't care how much it costs. It was like $8 at Walmart. It's like, I don't care how much it costs. I'm buying this. And I am making this work. Like, I love this. Like, it just looks so nice. Everybody talked about it. And I find myself using, like you can tell with the dents, the same shades. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's just like my personal preference. There's nothing wrong with the other shades in here. But I will tell you there's only 2 mattes in here. So that can kind of be a problem. Especially if you want to do more of like a colored look, I should say, because there are some reds and purples that are hard to work with. But this dark brown shade down here is more purple than it is brown, so that's something to keep in mind. I was a little bit confused when I kept seeing my looks turning purple, and I was like, but I'm not using the purple beside it, so I don't understand. But then I realized that it was just like a purplish brown that was coming off more brown until it hit my eyes, which is no big deal. You just have to work with it. On the back, it has instructions on how to do different eye looks, which I think is really cool, and I just noticed this. So it definitely helps you do different types of looks, get different like uses out of it without feeling like you're doing the same thing. It's something I'm definitely going to look into because I find myself using the same shadows, and I'm afraid I'm going to hit pan because none of my eyeshadow palettes look this way, but this is one I use all the time, and I love it. I would definitely recommend getting your hands on it before they sell out of it again, or before they decide they're not going to bring it back, because that happens. Another one that's going to be a hard one to find is the Collab Beauty Palette Pro eyeshadow palette. This is, I think it says Get Ready With Me. This is the one that's a little bit more like fall themed, very good for autumn, and this, you see, the season we're coming up on. Not yet, we're coming to it. I think the eyeshadows in this palette are very stunning. I think you get very good quality for being like a $14 palette. Like, this is from Sally's. I should have mentioned that. I got this at Sally's. I think this is their brand, or like this is where you find it at. And I think it's like, okay, that was like coming off like crazy whenever I swatched it with my finger. Not a good sign. But I find that I can do different looks with this without like, I don't do the same looks all the time, but there's like still not a whole variety because there's only 8 shades, but that's not a big problem. Like, if you're one that you want to travel, or you want like one to put in your purse or in your car, like if you're, you know, doing your makeup on the go kind of a thing, I think this is a good one to go with. And it's definitely a good one for starters, especially because the quality is good, so you're not getting crap eyeshadow, you're getting like decent eyeshadows. The next one is the Maybelline Nudes of New York eyeshadow palette, and this is probably one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes from the drugstore. The colors look a little bit bland here, but like, I've seen pictures online, I've seen eye looks, and like, it doesn't do the palette justice. Like, honestly, like just seeing it from here, I really like the shades on the side, the bigger blocked ones. I think they just look really nice, and they help you do like very different types of looks, and you can like, you can go a little bit dark, you can go a little bit light, you can kind of go a little bit greeny gold with these 2 shades. I like that there's that little bit of purple in there, so that way it kind of like versatiles your looks a little bit if you don't want to do just straight browns or like warm tones and things. And it's definitely good for Maybelline, considering not much of their eyeshadow formulas are good. They tend to be a little bit like lackluster and just not show up, and there's no payoff, and it's just not something people are really interested in. So I was really surprised that I like this palette, and it's definitely one I picked up right as soon as it came out. My next two are from the same brand, and that is ColourPop, and I wanted to save them for last because ColourPop is somewhat hard to get. I know they're being sold in Ulta, and I believe Target might be starting to sell them soon, which that's pretty exciting for ColourPop. But whenever I first started buying ColourPop, it was all on their website, so it was hard to get them. You had to spend more than $35 to get free shipping. Like, it was just, it seemed like nothing, you know, you couldn't just buy one $12 palette and be done with it. You had to spend like 40 bucks. Which was kind of expensive at the time, now not so much because you get a couple good things. The one palette I want to talk about is the Lilac You A Lot palette, and this is one, if you need a purple palette, I would go with this one. I think it was $12 or $16, maybe $12 on discount, and you get these deep purples, you get the light purples, you get pinks up here, you get these really nice shimmers and glitters, and there is a couple in here that come off very like iridescent-y, and they just look so nice. And I think this eyeshadow palette like kind of surprised me because I'm not one, like, I like purple, but am I the type to use purple? No. But this one kind of like makes me want to use purple. Like, I find reasons to use this eyeshadow palette. I will change my outfit for the day if I can use this eyeshadow palette, if that makes sense. And I think that that really makes a good eyeshadow palette for an individual and as a whole, is where you're like excited to use it. And this is one that I found I'm very excited to use all the time. And the next one is the newest one in my collection, and it's the Disney Mulan and ColourPop collection, whatever you want to call it. It's the Mulan palette. Look at these colors. I am like blown away with how good a quality this is. Like, I mean, I knew with ColourPop you're gonna get good quality anyway, but like these shimmers in here are just so stunning, and this gold glitter is so pretty. It's like not too chunky, but it still like shows up like very, you know, like pigmented, and you can see it, and you're getting good payoff. And even the mattes and stuff at the bottom and like everywhere else are just so nice. You can get different looks out of this. You can get plain looks. I think this is a good one if you want to go more elegant or glittery, shimmery type. Like, you don't really want to put a whole lot of color, but you want to do a little bit of shimmer. I think this would be a good one to use. Again, I think this is another good one that you could use as a beginner's palette because the quality is good. I think you would just have to steer clear of the reds and the black down here, just because they can be a little bit intense, and if you don't know what you're doing, you might get a little carried away, which is what I do usually when I use red. But that's what makeup's all about. It's just figuring things out. But this is definitely one I would recommend picking up, especially before they either discontinue it or it goes sold out, because I bought mine whenever it came back out because I was like, I'm not running the risk of not getting this and then seeing it and being so jealous that I don't have it. Some others I want to talk about, I don't seem to have any or can't find the Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes. They're in the same type of packaging as this, but they have a transition shade here and here, and then they have multiple shades on the sides. I think those are good, but you always have to watch. I like the ones that are a little bit more cool tone. They have more of a color story to them versus the ones that are rainbow or they're very bright. I find the bright colors don't always like work the best for me, but that's just my personal opinion. I think there's one that's like warm tone and it has a blue in it, and it's really nice. I would definitely recommend those. I think they're good to try out. You might have to weave through and find the one that you like, but when you're paying like $6 to $8, it's not really that much money, so you can afford to like go and investigate what works for you. And that's what makeup's all about, is just finding what works for you. Because I mentioned all these eyeshadow palettes, and they might not be your favorites, they might not be ones you use, and ones you use might not be ones that I've mentioned. So definitely put those down in the comments below so that others and myself can see what works for you if I did not mention them here. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like the video, share it with all your friends, and subscribe to my channel, and also ring the bell somewhere down below so you get notified when I upload. It's typically every 3 to 4 days with a vlog thrown in every now and then, but I don't really have quite a consistent uploading schedule quite yet, but stay tuned for that because I'm working on it. I'm being very motivated to try and push my channel and push myself and get new videos out and talk more about makeup because that's something that makes me very happy. I think that's all for this video. I'm going to try and do some more here and there, try and find some new ideas to do, something that's a little bit different than just get ready with me's or trying new makeup. So stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!